All right, go ahead.
We have just arrived to the sign of the town that we will be doing our documentary at, Monowi. As you can see, the sign says population of 2. However, it has changed since then. They haven't changed the sign. It is actually population of 1. The lady who resides here's name is Elsie, and we will be doing a short interview with her in just a little bit. Our town is that direction, right over there. Quite awesome. I'm just going to kind of ask you some questions. We're kind of doing a documentary on the town of Monowi and also
Monowi.
Monowi. Monowi. Okay. So first of all, what is your name?
Elsie Eiler.
Elsie Eiler. And how many years have you lived in Monowi?
Basically in the area all my life, and we've owned the tavern for 37 years.
37 years. My goodness. That's a long time. So I suppose there's lots of memories in this tavern.
Oh yes, yes there is.
What do you love most about Monowi?
Oh, the people.
The people.
I know I'm the only one that lives in town, but surrounding people, the neighbors, the clientele, the ones that come in.
Who comes in?
Good people.
What sort of people, or are they?
Well, I have there's a lot of, this is a farm area, so there's lots of farmers. And lots of young families that come in with their small youngsters. This summer they've been working on the road down here, so I've had the road crew in for lunches every day.
Oh, that's really fun.
It just who happens by. Sometimes it's travelers going through, sometimes it's people that just to come occasionally, but they stop by, and it's...
So the tavern is known. I actually was reading about it, and they said that people come from 80 miles to come to the tavern. They say that you make the best burgers.
I make a lot of them.
That's wonderful. Is there something that you like least about Monowi? Or is there anything that sometimes is wearing or...
I don't know what I would say on that.
That's really great. So you really love it.
Yeah, it's just, I just like the area and all the people that come in, and
that's great. And I was reading also about how like the big city draw is what kind of took the population away from the town. Did you see that happen? Were you part of that? Did you see your neighbors and your friends leave to come to the city?
Then we weren't married yet, but my husband spent 4 years in the service, and he was from here also. And then we got married, and we lived in Omaha for 6 months while he was still down at Offutt. But as quickly as we could, we left there. We're both rural people, and came back up here and had a variety of jobs until we had a chance to buy this.
And you bought this when? It was 37
in 71,
71.
in June of 71.
That's great. Did you have to think about it, or was it a tavern before you bought it? It was a tavern.
Yeah. Yeah, it has been a bar for probably most of, well, the building itself was built, we've got some pictures of probably in about 1908. And I know from the mid-20s on up, it's been either a pool hall or a bar, that type of thing.
That's really neat. Do you stay in contact with people who used to live here but then moved to the big
A lot of them do. A lot of them. A lot of them, we have a cemetery about 3 miles out here. We have lots of them that come back for that. The older ones that are gone. But I hear real frequently from people asking questions about who's still around or not around. And I had a friend send me a whole bunch of pictures that were taken back in the early 1900s the other day of the town when it was,
oh my goodness,
when it was young. And yeah, it was quite a booming town at one time.
That's really, really cool. Also, I was reading about some discussion just over the internet, and there was some talk about a military man who had spent 17 years in the military, and his family was thinking about coming and moving to Monowi, just because they wanted to get away from the big city and away from all the stress and everything, and they wanted to settle here. And then also about some people from like Southern California and other big cities who are sick of the bustling lifestyle and wanted to come to a peaceful place all over the United States. Do you feel strongly about this? Would you like them to come, or would you?
Well, I've had a lot of calls after the television shows and the People magazine and Los Angeles Times and London Times and all of that. I've had lots and lots of calls and all of that, but their biggest problem, and I try to explain this to them, is the cultural change they would find. I realized this one lady from New York kept calling, and she said, well, you seem to like it and you've adjusted to it. And I said, I've lived here all my life. You've lived in New York City all your life. They don't realize the change they would be making. It is peaceful and quiet, but if you're used to the bustle and the hustle and the constant, it'd drive you crazy. A lot of people. And we have had people who used to live, maybe not here, but in the next town west or in the area, think, oh, this is what we want, they'll move back, and usually they don't last. They pack up and leave again. It's just they just can't handle it after the, because it is too quiet for them. Too far to go to grocery stores, too far to go to McDonald's, it's just...
That was one of my, how far do you have to drive to a grocery store? Like if you need food for the tavern or for...
Well, practically everything is delivered to me on trucks.
Oh,
but 7 miles, there's a nice grocery store. 20 miles in either direction, there's a nice grocery store.
That's good. So, but of course, for people living in New York City, that's too far even for them. So
I don't know. It takes me maybe 20 minutes to drive that 20 miles. And what does it take them to go to the grocery store and back? I've been in the city enough with people to know it takes longer to go 20 blocks than it does me the 20 miles a lot of times.
That is very, very true. So the types of people that come to your tavern, I was reading like card players in the wintertime, and you get hunters, and do people mostly, when they can join here, do they know each other? Is it more like
a lot
family?
of them do.
So even if you're not related, you
well,
still feel
even
like
if they don't know each other, it doesn't take long, and the whole room is talking to each other. Yesterday we had the football game on, and there were local people, and there were people I've never seen before, and people that were hunters, and it didn't take long. Everybody's visiting with everybody else and talking, and it's just this. It's small enough. The atmosphere is of the type that they just visit. Well, where are you from? And then they talk, and
it's really, really neat. It's a nice atmosphere. I really like it. Do you have a daily routine? Because I know that you run a library, and do you run a bank? Did I read?
No. It's just I have enough money on hand that I cash a lot of checks, and that kind of stuff is where the bank thought would come in. And as far as the library, I really don't do much of anything there. It's there, it's kept locked. If anybody wants to see it or go in it or anything, I just give them the key and they go over it. But
do you have like a daily routine? Because I know that people have looked at you as owning this town or running this town. Is there a daily routine of things that you have to get done in order to keep the town going?
Not on a daily basis, no. I just run my business on a daily basis. And the rest are any reports that have to be filled out or sent in, or because even though I'm the only one here, it's still an incorporated town. So basically I have, on a smaller scale, the same thing that any other town has. A budget and expenditures and, what it's used for, because you get state funds and federal funds and those kind of things. Every town does.
Right. What do you like to do? Like if you have you traveled, or do you have a hobby, or is there
reading
a TV show that you like to watch, or reading?
I have one soap opera I try to watch. Luckily, I have 3 chances to watch it each day, because then I have to watch it around when my business. But I do have some favorite shows, but I don't. As a general rule, I hardly ever see a show all the way through, because somebody will come along. I'll either be visiting or be busy or whatever. I do a lot of reading. Hardly ever here, though. I do all my reading at home after I go home at night.
What kind of books do you like to read?
Most any kinds. I'm impartial to mysteries and historical novels, that kind of thing. I like those.
Those are really neat. Do you have some favorite memories in Monowi? Any things that stick out in your brain that if somebody was watching this, you'd say, this is what I want people to remember about Monowi, or this is kind of what the town represents, or any thoughts that come to your mind about the town that...
I don't know. I went my first 8 years of school, I went to school here in town. We still had our school.